All right. Hello and welcome, YouTubers. Happy New Year, I guess. We should start by saying Happy New Year. It is 2020. We thought this day would never come. Yeah, hello. This is Chuck with Electric Scooter Guide, and today you're watching episode 20 of Scooter Chat Live. Thank you all for tuning in. We are in a new place. We got a better setup here, so that's why it looks a little different. Episode 20, we're going to be talking about the WideWheel Pro. It's the new one by Mercane. We're super excited about it. We actually have the previous two generations of this scooter, which were some of the most fun scooters to ride. So this new one, as you can see, well, on the front, I don't know if you can see the front. Yeah, you can. It's an upgraded thrill ride. We got all the details on the on what are the upgrades about it. We also have Julian of Fluid Freeride in the live chat. He may be making an appearance during the show. Not 100% sure. We're trying to work out that. We're doing a lot of new things this year, probably too many things here. But Julian is going to be in the live chat, so I hope y'all can welcome him. And I want to welcome everybody back from the holidays. We haven't been live for 2 weeks because every Tuesday happened to be right before Christmas, and then the next Tuesday was New Year's Eve. So we're back. So anyway, hello Nelson from Spain, Saigon. We got hello Super Duper from England. That's awesome. Good to see you. Cool. So the mission of the Electric Scooter Guide is to help you find the perfect scooter. We are live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is right now. You can catch the replay on YouTube, and thousands of people do. Yes, and this is the first show of the year, which I already mentioned. So please join our community. Subscribe. If you're watching this, definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram for sure. And then if you have questions, make sure to either type it into the live chat. I'm going to get hit by this thing. Type it into the live chat, or if it's after this thing is live, which is we run this about an hour, then make sure to go to our Facebook group. All the links are in the video description, but the Facebook group is the best place to get your questions asked and answered. We jump on there at least a few times a day, and we make sure that it's well moderated, and there's a lot of good information there. There's a lot of exclusive coupons and all that stuff there. So that's really awesome. Hey, and there's Julian. So Julian is in the live chat. I just saw him pop up. He's in the live chat, Julian, for now. I hope that's the way that you say his name. So give him a welcome. And if you have questions as we go through about any scooter, we can talk about any scooter. But if you have any particular questions about the upgrades on the WideWheel Pro, that is kind of Julian's department, and I will do my best as well. Also, just so you know, immediately following the show, we're finishing the edits right now, actually, but we hopefully will have a video review for you guys to watch as a premiere immediately following the show. Also, the written review of the scooter is already up. Link is in the video description. You're all set, and I think right now the scooter is on pre-order for another, I think, few days. It should be shipping within a week or two, so that's cool. All right, so some news. So let's just start with some news real quick. So in news, we've got CES is this week. It started January the 7th, and it runs through started today, runs through Friday. And a couple interesting scooter kind of updates or Segway updates. So number one, the Segway S-Pod is getting released. So it's this chair. I don't know if I put a link in the video description, but if we open up the Chrome window with the there's a second Chrome window open. Just click on Chrome. Yeah, the other one. There we go. And yep. So there's a S-Pod. What it is, it's this egg-shaped chair. Segway is doing some pretty funky stuff. Anyway, it's supposed to go 24 miles an hour. You control it with a joystick on your hand, which is kind of crazy. And I don't know. I don't want to see these on the freeways, But maybe for older folks that can't walk that well, or for strollers or kids, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what use is. Hey, John in California, I want to say hi to everybody. Anyway. So that's cool. Also, Segway is releasing a couple other new scooters. One is a Segway Air T15, which actually, to be honest, I shouldn't even be doing news on this. It just, I don't actually, they're making a big announcement about it. It's $699, goes 12.5 miles an hour. It does fold really small, and it's 22 pounds, which is, I guess, it's smallish. But there's other scooters that are really close or 22 pounds. It's got a 300 watt motor, and you kind of have to kick it to go. Anyway, we tell you like it is. I don't see the use of this one. The egg chair thing, interesting. It's not really a scooter, so it's a little outside of our scope, but I thought I'd mention it. And then finally, the third piece of news is that San Francisco, our kind of like home area here, is turning Market Street, which is one of the biggest streets in San Francisco. It is turning that to carless, which is pretty awesome. It's happening by the end of this month, supposedly, and it's between 10th and Market Street. Basically, if you're on a scooter, the Muni still works, e-bikes work, regular bikes still work. If you're in basically your own car, now you can't drive down that street. And cities all over the world are doing this to different parts of their infrastructure, which we actually absolutely applaud that type of stuff, because as cities get more and more impacted with traffic, that's why people are turning to these different forms of micromobility, and it's all good. Like this is the future of cities, we believe, is micromobility, whether it be scooter, electric unicycle, one wheel, e-skateboards, or just your bicycle, an e-bicycle. To me, it doesn't matter at all. It's about not driving a 4,000-pound car with one person in it that can kill people. Like the car's time inside of cities is come and gone. Cars are great, go skiing in it and haul your stuff, but daily commute, it doesn't work for many people anymore. So anyway, so that is the news. So let me just look through, see if I can look through any of these comments here. Let's see here. We've got, Andrew Stone's got the X and the Thunder and the Wolf. Good Lord, Andrew. Adaptive Tech has a painted boosted rev. Cool. How do you like that boosted rev, Adaptive Tech? Andrew Stone's also asking about the 011X. Is it ever coming out? Yes, it is coming out. If you go onto RevRide's website right now, and I think we've updated our comparison chart as well, you can see the 11X is now on pre-order. They've got, I think, a small shipment. I talked to Nathan today or yesterday. They've got a small shipment coming, hopefully for us reviewers to check out first. And then they may make people kind of fill out a form just to make sure, like, this is not your first scooter, because this is a dangerous thing that goes 60 miles an hour and is ridiculously fast. Go everywhere says you don't want a 12. Cool. Hey, super duper. Thanks for tuning in from England. We appreciate it. I remember you were on here before trying to figure out how to get the time right. So it's awesome to see. Hey, James McCulkin. Good to see you. Okay. I can't say hi too much anymore, because I got these notes, of the WideWheel, that we're going to go through. And again, after the show, tune in, because we've got the video review hopefully going to launch right at 6 o'clock, which will be awesome. Also, my producer should be queuing up. We may have an interview, and he'll let me know when that happens. So basically, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the WideWheel. Right over there in the other corner of the room, we have the oldest one, which we took on our road trip way earlier last year, and we destroyed that. And then we had the second one, which we did not destroy, which was made a lot better. And now we have this new one with all these cool upgrades. And, when I got the first WideWheel, I hadn't ridden a ton of scooters before, and the first thing I noticed was the ridiculous power that it had for such a small scooter. So you expect ridiculous power on like your Dualtron Thunder or like, you know, your 010X, right? And that's cool, right? But those are big giant scooters. This scooter is 43, I believe, inches long and only 9 inches wide, and I hope I got that right. This scooter is like a small package racer rocket thrill ride scooter. It will jerk your head back. You will need to hang on to the handlebars. This scooter is not for everyone. This is not the cruiser. You can cruise in it as long as you want to go the top speed. You can. It's a very interesting type of scooter. So let's first talk about kind of how the well, first of all, how it looks. You can kind of, you know, check out our review of it. You can see how it looks. It's very cool. It kind of looks like the Batmobile. Someone on Reddit, I think, mentioned that, and now I see it. It's got like wings in the front, and it definitely looks cool. And the thing that people buy this scooter for is really the thrill ride and the acceleration. That is what you're going to get. So I mean, that is the pro. It also has the thumb throttle, which we absolutely prefer over the trigger style throttle. Those are the kind of main two types of throttles. And so you you have that thumb, you hit it, you get that blast of speed. And you go. Adaptive Tech is saying the only problem with the scooter is the super narrow base. So yes, that is absolutely true. The base, at the skinniest point, we did some measurements of the scooter. It's about 4.75 inches wide at the most narrow. Now, if I could have a scooter that was either more wide or more long, if I had to choose one or the other, of course I would go with length over girth, right? Please, no one make any jokes about that. So you do have a long platform, and I can actually fit both of my feet almost, what do you call that? The parking style where you're one behind me. Anyway, you can fit both of my feet almost one behind the other, but your feet do have to be almost in a straight line, which is not the most comfortable position. So again, the scooter is not for everybody, but it's definitely for some people for sure. So on good roads, it's very good. You can maintain your speed on good roads. Now, if you're on bumpy roads, like when we do our range tests, we're on extremely bumpy, crappy roads for 2/3 or so of our range test. And so what's happening there is like if you want to go the fastest speed, it does a great job of staying in the fastest mode if you just hold the accelerator down all the way. And it actually does hit 26.7 miles an hour on the flats as tested. We don't use a speedometer on the actual WideWheel itself. We use a Race Logic car racing GPS monitoring system that we mount to the scooter, and then we analyze that data later in the computer. So we got 26.7 miles per hour as the top speed, and that is the unlocked mode. Our scooter came unlocked. If you were to buy this scooter, it may come locked, and the way that you unlock it, we definitely, by the time you watch this, we'll have in our review, we'll have the locked and unlocked versions up. I can ask our web guy if that's up now. I haven't seen. But basically, I believe you have the scooter on, you hold down one of the brakes, and then you hold the power and mode buttons simultaneously for a couple seconds. That gets to your P settings. And then I forget which P setting you've got. You got metric, imperial. You've got zero start on and off, which is great. And we definitely always we take zero start. We put zero start on, so we don't have to kick to start, which is I just think a pain in the butt. And if you're gonna own this scooter, you do want to change that setting. And then you also have some people call it Ludicrous Mode. Basically, it takes the top speed from whatever 15, 16 and moves it right up to that max, which we get 26.7. So that's very cool. So yes, on flat grounds, it's really good. If you're on bumpy grounds, bumpy bumpy terrain, and you hold that trigger down and you don't want the max top speed, right? Or you're not trying to accelerate all the way, it does have a hard time holding your speed at a constant speed if you're on a bumpy road. And that either has to do with the scooter not feeling traction, or it has to do with your thumb slightly moving because, you know, you can't hold your thumb perfectly steady when you're going over some bumps. So in that case, you do get a little bit of this rocking motion where you need a wide stance, and then you kind of get this little rocking thing going where the scooter will speed up and slow down a little bit on you. Again, it's kind of a thrill ride. It's kind of fun. But if you have a super long commute and you don't want that kind of fun, then this probably is not the right kind of fun for you. Okay, so yeah, okay, cornering on good roads. You can see these tires. These tires are super wide. They don't have a ton of traction. The tires are really good for, this is a really nuanced scooter because it's so different than so many scooters, right? There's only a couple scooters. We actually have the 08X directly behind the camera, which also has this like 3.75 or 4-inch wide tire. You can see here. So the tire does not have a lot of traction, but it's really wide and it's also solid. However, even though it's solid, let me just stop this real quick. You can see, I don't know, you can see here, but I can actually push in on that tire a little bit because it's made of this like polyurethane inside like foam lining. Where's this on button? It's made of this like foam lining, which does have some give to it, which is actually really good for going over small like pebbles and stuff like that. Stuff that a normal solid tire, you're gonna feel everything. You don't feel everything on this scooter. You don't feel the smallest bumps, which is good. So if you're on good roads where there's little things and stuff, it's really good. Also, the wide tires are also very good for when you encounter that, you know, 1/2-inch diameter twig in the road, which you do. And this is what causes falls on many other solid tire scooters and even non-solid tire scooters. If you hit a twig and that's kind of like, you know, oriented, I guess, vertically along, like basically along your path, you can hit that thing and your tire will kind of fall off of it. If you're on a solid tire scooter, that can be really problematic, but not on a big wide tire, because what will happen is you just roll over the darn thing and you have so much other surface area that you're touching is actually working out really well for the scooter to go over that kind of stuff, railroad tracks, etc. It can roll over stuff that other scooters can't, solid or non-solid tires. Now, when I ride on really bad roads and I take corners fast, and we'll talk about cornering in a second, when I take corners fast, you can slide a little bit. It's not like a slide. It's that you do lose your traction because you don't have a pneumatic tire. It's not a pneumatic tire, but it is probably the best of the solid tire varieties in every way, I would say. So it does take some getting used to. Also, as you're moving along with this scooter, it tracks really well. In fact, there's a portion of the video, which hopefully y'all stick around to 6 o'clock or in 20 minutes, whatever time zone you're in, and watch. But basically, there was a portion where I was like up on the scooter without the kickstand up, and you can almost balance on the scooter. The scooter tracks itself and wants to go straight. Because of those tires are so flat underneath, turning is a weird feeling. This is kind of the other. So first you feel the thrill of the scooter. The second thing people notice about this scooter is that they don't know how to turn on it. They're like, how do you turn? That's what I was like. I was like, wait a second, how am I supposed to turn? The scooter just pulls itself straight. But that's at first. That's until you learn how to kind of just lean into your turns. You can't carve. This is not a carving scooter. You're not going to be slaloming, around the bike lane dash lines or something like that. That's but you can once you learn to kind of like lean differently, you can definitely get into your turns pretty well, which is awesome. Okay, so I think we talked about tires enough. I'm gonna open up. Should have notes. I'm probably not. I'm not looking at all your guys' comments, but thank you for leaving them. If anybody has a straight up comment for me, maybe hit all caps or something like that, and I can make sure to try to look at it. Okay, so what about the upgrades on the scooter? So there's some pretty key upgrades that are kind of fantastic. So, well, kind of fantastic. No, all of them are fantastic. It turned the scooter into a, yeah, it's a cool scooter, but there's some issues, to a, hey, this is kind of an awesome scooter. They fixed basically everything that we didn't like about it, except for a couple things. They even fixed the font on the deck, which I don't think we wrote about in our review, but the old one had this like cursive font that just, it looked like something out of like an opera, playbill or something. It did not look like it did not look like the Batmobile of electric scooters. The new font on here, you may or may not be able to see it. Yeah, there we go. Looks really, really good. So yeah, we don't, they fix a lot of things. It's very good. So first of all, the first thing I'll go over is the display. So there it goes. So the old display was the silliest display I'd ever seen on an electric scooter. It was the 4 dots. It was a red dot and I think 3 white dots, and that's if you had full charge. And that was it. There's no speed. That was your battery measurement. There was one button, and you had to do crazy Morse code style tweaking to this scooter, which was like, basically, if it's your only scooter, I guess you could memorize it. But like, I mean, I had to keep watching the same video. I probably spent an hour on the video to try to figure out, okay, hold it down 2 seconds and then the brake, and then, okay, then you tap it, but you have to tap it within. It's just crazy. They fixed that. They have a legit display. It's not better than other displays. They got up to par on their display game. Okay, so you can see it. Okay, some of the letters are a little small on it, so when it says miles, a little tiny, but like, you don't really need to know that it says miles. You kind of know. So it's backlit. It's got all the gauges you need. It's got the speed. The speed actually seems accurate. You've got your voltage. You got your bars on there. So it's very good. So that's the one thing that, really happy with the upgrade there. Okay, second thing that they did is they made a front brake, which I think you can see. I'm not sure how wide this is, but I think you can see right over here. They added this front brake. So they used to just have one brake in the rear. And as some of you probably know, the US had one bad batch of brakes, which Fluid Freeride actually spearheaded the recall and actually pushed the recall, even, talked to Mercane and was the spearhead for that. So we know how difficult that must be for Julian, for Fluid Freeride, but they did the right thing, which, man, like, thank goodness they did and didn't try to hide it, because the brakes did fail on some people. It was isolated, but they went through, they sent brakes, they did whatever they needed to do. So now, they know about the issue. Brakes have been upgraded, but also there's redundancy. So there's now a front and a rear brake, and they both have electronic braking as well. So basically, you kind of have like 4 different braking mechanisms. What happened with those brakes is that the brakes went, and so if you're first time watching this, you may not know, but we're also a testing company. We test electric scooters, kind of like Consumer Reports or Road and Track, I guess, for cars. We do tests for acceleration, range, braking, hill climb, probably a couple other ones. And so for braking, our old test, I should have this in here. Do I have it in here? Well, whatever. Our old test was, I believe, 22.9 feet. Ooh, that might be right. It might be 22.9 feet. The new braking is now 12.5 feet of braking distance, and that's from 15 miles an hour. So they took the single brake at 23 feet of stopping distance and moved that all the way down to 12.5 feet of stopping distance, which, when you're going 15 miles an hour, those extra 10 feet that you're flying at, and when you need to stop, 20 plus feet, we don't consider that really a good score. That's like kind of a poor score for braking for us. Anything below about 15 feet, we consider to be a good score. The best scores we ever see are just under 10, but 10, 11 is like as good as electric scooters get at this point. So this got 12.5, and that was, so out of the box, we got about 16 feet. And in the video, I'll show you, but it's literally a 1 minute adjustment where you just tighten down each brake just a little bit. You don't want to, you don't want the front brake to be stiffer than the rear, of course, so you don't fly over the handlebars. But if they're both the same or the front's a little bit softer than the rear, that's good. And so I adjusted mine. It took me 1 minute, and that went from that 16 feet mark down to 12.5 feet of braking distance. So that is awesome. Like that is like one of the best things, one of the safest things that, the title of our review, I think, is going to be like the upgrades that make the best thrill ride safer or something like that, because it's really a safety thing and a performance thing to be able to have better braking. So we really like that. Along with safety, let's talk about the stem. So again, the first version of this scooter, there were some incidents where people will crash and like the frame or different pieces of the metal would snap on them. Mercane has been upgrading each version, and this latest one is absolutely the most like robust. The metal is different. In our review, we actually tap the metal. You can actually hear the sound that the metal is actually different than the previous version. The stem, whereas before I could get my fingers like this around the stem. Now you can, I don't know if you can see, but I can't get my fingers around the stem at all. So the stem is thicker, the metal is thicker. They reinforce the fork, they reinforce the neck. So, we'll wait and see, but like it definitely looks like everything is a lot more robust in terms of their metal and their build quality, which is really, is really good that they did that. Okay, another upgrade is the battery. So they went from a 634 watt hour battery to a 720 watt hour battery. Now that's a 14% increase in the battery watt hours, which is fantastic. What does this mean for you? It means the scooter got heavier, right? So there is about a 9-pound difference in the weight of the new one. This one is 54 pounds. I think the old one was like 45 pounds. And that extra weight has to do with the thicker metal, the front brake, the extra handlebar, maybe the display is a little bit more, but also the battery. When you add battery, right, the battery weighs a lot. So those are the things. And so it's good that the weight went up because they added all these things to it. Anyway, about the battery went from 634 watt hours to 720. It's a 14% increase. However, the range went from 18.8 miles to 19.3 miles, which is actually only a half a mile difference increase in range, and they're both good. I mean, you gotta know your own commute, but 19 miles, 19.3 miles is good. Also, the way we test this kind of stuff is when we test it in the fastest mode. So we definitely unlocked it. There's not too many other ways. I mean, there's not like different gears or anything on this scooter. It's just either fast or not fast. And we ride on a very difficult loop. We don't ride on the kind of the way that they ride when they're testing scooters and they say, oh, my scooter gets 40 miles or whatever. We do real world conditions. It's a real test loop. It's the same test loop that I use every single time. It's not a fun one. It's got a lot of bad roads in it, a lot of starts and stops. It's a lot of uphills and downhills, stuff like that. So it really tests the legitimate range of the scooter in the fastest mode, and we got 19.3 miles, so it's good. But you might ask, like, why did the range only go up like less than 3%, right? While the battery went up 14%. At least that's my first thought. And so really, I think it comes down to a couple factors. Number one, the scooter's heavier, right? So that's going to affect things a little bit, not a lot, because it's like your weight plus the scooter weight, all together 10 pounds, not that big of a difference. Really, the biggest difference, I think, are two things. Number one, the scooter goes faster than the old scooter. The old scooter, we clocked in at 25 miles an hour even. The new one got up to 26.7. So when we're going on these uphills, right, when you're going faster, right, your watts per hour, or watts consumed per, sorry, watt hours per mile consumed, watts per mile, something like that. Your energy consumed out of this battery goes up because when you're going faster, you burn more energy per mile, and that's just kind of what happens. Also, we tested, it was a little colder because it's winter now. When we tested the wide wheel, it was a little bit warmer, about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, so that probably contributed a little bit as well. Okay, but yeah, 19.3 miles is what you can expect to get if you're a 165-pound rider. I'm probably 160. Well, with all my clothes on and a backpack, yeah, 165. Okay, so yeah, so that's cool. And you know, they changed the font, and we talked about the metal, we talked about the weight. Cool. So let's talk about the portability aspects of the scooter. So the scooter is absolutely, like, it's not the heavy scooter that's 80, 90 pounds, and it's not the light scooter that's 26 pounds or 30 pounds, right? It's not your Xiaomi M365 weight, and it's not your Dualtron Thunder weight, right? Or your 010X 77-pound weight, right? It's 54 pounds. So can I carry it in one hand? I can. I live upstairs. I don't have an elevator, so I walk up and down a flight of stairs. It works for me. I don't love it. I prefer the 45-pound weight, although I prefer the scooter over the other one because it has the two brakes and everything and better build quality. But I still don't really mind that much taking it up and down stairs. But the nice thing is that it folds really small. So it folds to that 43 inches, right? I think it's about 16 inches high, and at its widest, it's about 9 inches wide. So what you can do is, like, this thing can fold up and kind of sit like in front of you on the bus or train. I mean, you need to measure it, but it folds really small. Also, the handlebars do lock down, so I could pull this right now, and the handlebars do lock in place, which is a really nice, feature for portability. So you can, fold it, take it with you. And then finally, you can't see because it's back here, but there's one of the swing arms where you can really nicely get a link style lock. Fluid Freeride sells a pretty good link style lock. That's actually what we use currently, is that link style lock. But if you had a cable lock, you could probably, sneak that in. But basically, the back right side is where you're going to be able to fit most locks. There's less area for it on the new one because you now have the whole braking unit on the front, so you can't just lock it to either side. And you could try to sneak it in there, but okay. So and then as you may know about the scooter, this right here, I'm gonna talk a little louder, but I'm gonna try to also not have this knock over on me, but in order to undo it, you turn this guy, and then the stem goes up like this. I'm gonna put it back down before this falls over, but so it's a screw threaded style stem lock. Now the stem, when it's up and you've locked it in place and you screwed it in, it's super solid. Now, if you're going over really rough roads after a few miles, you do get a tiny little bit of wobble in that stem. Although, it's weird because sometimes I got that wobble after a mile or two, and then other times I rode it for 5 or 10 miles and actually it was like, it was still in there really well. So, I would say you're going to get a little bit of wobble. And so maybe like expect that maybe every 5 miles or so, you can just give it a little tighten. The suspension. So we can talk about the suspension. So the suspension is good. I think it feels to me better than the last version. It feels, maybe I'm totally just crazy, but it does feel softer to me. than the previous version. When I'm riding, I jump on it like really hard to test it, I can't really get the suspension to fully bottom out. But the scooter says there's a weight limit of 100 kilograms, 220 pounds, which you'll have to ask Julian if that is what it really is, because many scooters say that, but you can put heavier people on a lot of scooters that say 100 kilograms. So I don't 100%. I wouldn't say, I can't say you can go heavier than 220 pounds, but it seems well built, especially for my weight. I don't bottom out on any bumps, which is actually many scooters I do that have really soft suspension, so I don't bottom out at all. Now, when you're going, we talked about going over these teeny rocks and stuff, whereas many solid tire scooters, you do feel them, you don't with this. Now, when you're going over medium bumps, the suspension is still stiffer than many, and so you will still feel normal bumps, right? You're not going to get super crazy damping effect. Now, when you're going over speed bump, that's when you really notice the suspension working, and it has a good amount of travel. And so when you're going fast over a speed bump, you don't get you don't bounce off. You can bend your knees and you can go over pretty well larger stuff. So I have all the pages of the notes. So let's go over the cons of the scooter, right? So here are the cons. Basically, I guess the rider weight could be increased, but many scooters, I guess, are 100 kilograms. That's not really a con. Suspension, while it's softer, I think, than the older version, it's still a harder style suspension. It takes a little more to kind of activate the suspension. So the ride is not like ridiculously smooth or anything like that. It's still a solid tire scooter with a slightly hard suspension. However, these solid tires are the best solid tires, in my opinion, in the industry, because of this foam, this foam insert or whatever that they have in there. So overall, I think it's very good for a solid tire scooter. Of course, solid tires, you don't have maintenance. You should already know this if you're watching our show 40 minutes in. The rear fender. Okay, so I didn't know this because I hadn't ridden the scooter in rain, either of our previous versions. But unfortunately, while it looks like the rear fender, it looks very, very good. It does, when you're riding in the rain, which again, be very careful on any scooter, but especially solid tire scooters, be careful in the rain. You will get splash, right? You will get, water and stuff that will fly up in the air, and you'll see the rear of your scooter will have drops on it. And some people have noticed that the back of their clothes get some, get a little bit wet. And they didn't fix that. And many people, when we did our research, we, shout out to Julian of Fluid Freeride, but also shout out to, it's Apollo, I need to know this, Christopher at Apollo Scooters out in Canada, and all the people on the Mercane Owners Group, Mercane WideWheel Owners Group Facebook group, as well as our own Facebook group. We did a lot of research there, and some people are actually making some mods for the rear, for that rear fender, which is cool. They're just extending it back. Some people put duct tape on the back there, which is fine too, I guess. It just needs a little bit more to get that water to not splash up. Yeah. So the cords. This is really the last con that I have, are the cords. So once the scooter comes back around, I'll kind of show you what the cords in the front look like. All right, here we go. Coming around. Okay, so the front cords, or maybe we can pull up a picture of the front cords. Whatever, it's coming. I'll stop this thing when it gets here. So the front cords are just looser than the old version. The old cable routing was a lot tighter to the stem. So this is the front cables, like the brake and the power cables that come all from the handlebar section. So let's go ahead and stop it right. I don't know when you can see it. Right now? Right now. Okay. So as you can see, right, when this is up, So check this out. So it's not the best as far as the cable routing. We would like this to be a lot tighter, and so really the risk there is that you snag it on something, like you snag it on a bike. That would be the worst case scenario, but it could get knocked on something or whatever. I suppose you could always kind of like try to like put some tape or something down, but there might be a reason it's like that. Potentially the way that this folds, they need more room. But the older versions had a more tight cable routing, so I'm not sure. Yeah, but that's really it. That's really my only cons about the scooter. Yeah. So give me 1 second. I need to. Okay, sorry about that. Just needed a quick drink of water. Yeah, so let me know what questions y'all have. I'm gonna jump into the comments right now. Oh my gosh, everybody's chatting it up here in the comments, which is great. Yeah, if you have a question for me or Julian, let me know. Super duper saying down for the solid tires. Yeah, solid tires. It's funny, like the Xiaomi M365, the most popular scooter in the whole world, for personal market at least, and was for the sharing market too, because that's how the whole thing started, was on that scooter. If you look up replacement tires, the first like 30 results on Amazon, and Amazon usually knows what you're thinking of, are all like honeycomb solid hybrid style tires, because people don't want to change their tires. People don't want the maintenance issues on them, because it is a super pain in the butt to change tires. And so, yes, for comfort, performance, and safety, pneumatic tires are far superior to solid tires. However, right, if you know what you're doing on solid tires, you know that in the rain you can't be taking corners fast, right? My first scooter was a U scooter booster plain, not plus, not V, not Eco, not GT, not any of those. And it was solid tires, little tiny ones. And, when I fell, it wasn't because of the tires. It was because, car hit me or whatever. But you can do it. It's just, it definitely is less safe. So anyway, yeah. Brandon Smith says, great styling overall, really. Yeah, I love the look of this scooter. I think it looks awesome. I like that it has rounded edges to it. So there's some actually good things about this scooter that people don't really notice. So, when you have a 56-pound flying object and you've got edges to it, you become a 54-pound flying razor blade, basically. And so if you notice, right, on the scooter, right, what can you hit, right? You can kind of feel the edges, and they're slightly rounded. Also, the deck, many decks come to like a point, or they're shaped like a box, or the deck will have like an edge to the front. Like look at most scooters. You're flying around, like you hit somebody's legs at speed on something like that, and you absolutely will like cut them. Like it's hard. So this scooter is actually rounded in all kind of the right places, if you will. Let's see here. Just reading through some of the comments here. Oh, there we go. Monsa's asking about a shop in in Florida, in Miami. I think Fluid Freeride is close to there, right? Yeah, Super Duper says pneumatics rule. Yes, agree. Pneumatics are better overall. It's just many riders don't want it, and so you got to give people what they want. It's not that they're bad. Solid tires are not bad. It's just you need to know know what you're getting, I suppose. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm going back up through all the stuff. I'll tell you guys what's coming up kind of next. So next up for us is, I think next week we're going to be looking at the Quawa Q Hummer. So that should be next week. We also have the U-Scooter Booster, which I know is, it's a model getting long in the tooth, but it's also an extremely popular model that we've been asked many times to do reviews on. So that maybe both of those are next week, or maybe this U-Scooter will come first, and then Quawa might be the week after that. Then I know we've got the eMove Touring, which that's a Voro motor scooter. And we've ridden it, and it's basically a Titan T8 variant, and we did the Swift a couple weeks ago, so we're kind of wanting to wait on that. We've also got the 09 here that's waiting for a review. We've got the 08 that's here waiting for a review. So we've got all of those. We also have the new 60 volt. Did that just flip? Someone tell me. I swear it was going that way. We've got the new 60 volt 10X coming. So that'll be a lot of fun to kind of test out. So it'll be great. Anyway, cool. So I'm gonna sign off. Let me check and see if the are we ready to premiere the video at 6?
Not yet. My internet is.
No. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna sign off, and we're gonna work on trying to get this video set. I want to thank everybody for what's that? Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna thank everybody for watching. Appreciate all you for coming back in. Check us out next week. We're gonna try to get the premiere going here in a few minutes. I'll drop the link in if I can. But otherwise, I hope you all have a great January, and ride safe, and don't forget to wear your helmet. Goodbye, everybody.